the beginning mindset, right? I think that is a key component to start off at. Mindset is absolutely that key component. So before you can, go out and work on your goals, it's key to change your mindset. That should be your first damn goal you have. I believe that this aspect of individual development is highly overlooked and underrated. And you're probably asking yourself, why do I say that? Because I see way too many people having such a shitty outlook on life, their job, or their lack of accomplishments, or their current situations, and it truly limits their growth. It limits your growth. How can you or anyone rush into this need to succeed when you start out of the gate being your worst enemy? That's like trying to run a marathon, but before you run, you tie your shoelaces together. It makes absolutely zero sense. You're setting yourself up for failure, right? We hear it all the time. We are our worst enemies. It's so true. A majority of people trip on their own thoughts. That voice in our own head, we allow it to persuade us to hold back. And most of the time, it's that voice that contains us in this kind of cage of comfortability. It doesn't allow us to step outside of it. It's interesting to me. Those small voices are most likely seeds that were planted from, our childhood environment or your current environment, what you see your friends maybe accomplishing, or reading about someone extremely successful at your age or younger and comparing yourself. Probably the worst things you can do in life, right? That is only going to derail you from your goals and your journey. If people just shifted from focusing on everyone else's shit around them and took the time on focusing on your shit, your goals, your self-development, I bet you'd be a lot further ahead. Maybe even where you want to be or expected to be at this point in life. It's mind-blowing to me that even when we're young, real young, some of us watch shows like Thomas the Tank, right? His famous, I think I can. That's mindset. I've said it many times to friends, colleagues, family members too. No one ever finished a marathon thinking they couldn't. It starts with you changing the way you look at things, changing your perspective on things. We have great examples of this almost every day. Examples like I just said with Thomas the Tank. Yet, as we age, it seems a majority of people gravitate away from that. And I think the reason that this happens is we live in such a noisy world, right? Now, not that that's an excuse to allow yourself to fall into that pool of negative Nancy's, if you will, but to be the person that splits from the crowd, splits from the pack, and starts cutting your own damn path. If you realize you have a hard time putting your, metaphoric noise-canceling headphones on, put a plan in place to assist you, to help you through this. If it's social media platforms that have you focusing on your surroundings over your internal focus, unfollow those friends. Not unfriend them, unless they're toxic, of course, but go out and unlike pages that constantly show unrealistic things. It's a terrible thing that we put those items before us, our own journey. We're animals at the end of the day, and what's one trait animals have? It's habit. These habits come in the form of focusing on those wrong things, those wrong items. Turn those habits around to focusing on you. If this is your book, why are you focusing on other people's chapters? The more you get in the groove and create a plan of how you want to change your mindset, the better this positive habit becomes, the more you just engulf yourself in that process. It's so key in your success, in your journey, to change those things. And I also want to make it clear that you shouldn't rush into this process. Probably the worst thing you can do. Take your time. A majority of people want results tomorrow, right? They want results immediately. You know what? That's unrealistic. And it's irresponsible to think as well with anything, not just changing your mindset. The sooner you realize this is key, the sooner you can start on the right path. And I know I'll probably get some emails and DMs later asking for something tangible based on this, so I'm going to give it to you. Like I said earlier, unfollow toxic people online. Unlike unrealistic pages on social media platforms, stop hanging out with people that have a shitty perspective on life or are always complaining. And that goes for family members too. Just because they're family doesn't mean they're helping your mindset at all. Start liking and following pages that have a positive influence on you. Start talking to people that have drive and that also have the same mindset that you want, right? And have a clear, positive outlook on life in their journey. Go out and donate your time to a food bank or some sort of volunteer work. That is extremely gratifying and it will allow you to see the good in this world. And it'll allow you to see the upside in things. I know I donated my time the other month to a local food bank at their garden, and the feeling of helping others and seeing people come together, that community, that teamwork, gives you a clear sight of all that is good in this world. We wake up every day and we hear shitty news, right? Doesn't matter which news channel you turn on, there's something about murder, crime, embezzlement, whatever the case is. There's always this bad karma floating around. And these things manage to change or cloud our judgment of looking at things in a positive mindset. It's amazing what this does for your life. Trust me, once you change your mindset, the results are amazing. Meaning what you can accomplish and how you will feel, it'll be like stepping on a completely different planet, a whole different environment. And I know someone actually that works in the packaging industry and does analysis for them. And I got to catch up with him a few months back and I asked him, how are things going? How are you liking it? And his response, his demeanor, he seemed kind of down. And I asked, why? And he had stated that basically he was working for a company that created glorified trash. And I stopped him right there and I told him, the reason you're not enjoying it is because of your shitty mindset. I told him that he needs to look at it as such. You are creating the last selling tool to persuade a consumer to pick up your packaging. Your customer's product, as opposed to the competitor on the right or left. What you and your business are doing is you're creating the last gate to persuade the consumer to buy that item. It's because of that the customer has hired you and your business, and it's what ultimately leads to their success in yours. The point here with that story is that so many of us look at things that way, right? And it completely destroys you from even getting off the starting line with your journey, your marathon. This is why I think it is so key to understand this before you address anything else on your journey. Learn to start at base camp before you start hiking. You think someone scaling a 14,000 foot mountain doesn't evaluate his or her mindset before they start climbing? Of course they do. This journey is your mountain. Learn to spend all the time you need shifting those thoughts, because it's going to make you climb a hell of a lot easier. I remember my first major meeting. I had to fly across the country out to California to meet our largest distributor at the time and tell them that we were increasing costs on them. So this was a whopping 2 weeks after being put into the new position with my company as a director of sales. And I remember sitting on the plane thinking about how the meeting was going to go down, what I wanted to say, what my angle was. And, obviously breaking news like this to your largest distributor can only go so well, or so I thought. thought. So here I was, 24 years old, flying across the country to drop this news on a customer worth millions. I did everything I could to prepare myself for that meeting before I even went out. But I didn't prepare myself enough for one thing, and that was mindset. I remember specifically arriving at the customer's corporate office half an hour early before the meeting, and the reason I did that was to sit in the parking lot and basically psych myself out, reinforcing to myself that this meeting is in my control. It's on my terms, and as long as I have a positive mindset on this, everything's going to go smooth. So I walked through those front doors and made my way to the conference room and sat down beside the two owners of the company and their top salesperson. And you know what happened next? I crushed the meeting. You want to know why? Because I knew I could. I had confidence in myself. Like I said earlier, we're animals. People sense confidence in fear. We could sniff it out a mile away. Once you start to change this, people take notice. They absolutely notice that change. And not that you should care to an extent what others think, but having people take notice will allow you to control the conversation and show that confidence, radiate it. It's a huge domino effect. The first domino you need to push over is that with yourself. The way you process things, your perspective, your mindset. You can't drive or dive into this world without changing these things. It's absolutely key. All of this is true too with failures. Just because you fail at something, whether it be your business, a bad meeting, or not being where you think you want to be in life, look at the upside. I'm sure a majority of people say, what positive thing could I extract from failure? My response to that person would be, and listen closely, and I mean it, everything you can take away from failure. Everything. Sure, it sounds vague because it's supposed to. It's almost endless, the lessons that come with your failure. Think about it for a minute. If your business fails tomorrow, you now know what not to do next time or what to do next time. You know where things went wrong. You made contacts along the way. You know what aspects of the business needed more attention. Maybe it was HR and uplifting your employees as it's every business's foundation. Maybe it was putting more money towards marketing. The list goes on and on. The only reason people fear failure and have such a shitty mindset on it is because they look at all the downside. They're looking at all the dark to it. They get lost in that darkness and can't seem to find the light or even navigate to the light. The fact of it is this: it already happened. Why extract all that negativity and allow it to cloud where you need to move forward? What's done is done. I don't get hung up on the past, nor should you. I don't, because I know the past lays in the shadows of the future. As opposed to giving so much of a shit about your failures, look at all you've learned, because those key takeaways help build your future. And that's the start of your journey. The start of you changing your mindset, and that ultimately will lead to the path of your success.